Hey everybody, welcome back to You Are Free TV. It is Wednesday, September 17th, 2025. I'll just jump in with my disclaimer. This video is for entertainment purposes only. It is protected by the United States Constitution, protecting free speech, as well as the Sullivan Act and reporting. It is not intended to bully or harass anyone, never to incite violence, hatred, or lawlessness of any kind. It doesn't give legal, medical, or financial advice, and there are further disclaimers in the description below. Okay, so glad to be back with you here on a Wednesday. And of course, I want to say thank you to everyone supporting the channel. I want to say thank you, of course, to my regular monthly subscribers and supporters. You make it happen absolutely on the bedrock. And I'm so appreciative of you. And I'm so appreciative of everybody donating and taking advantage of the fundraiser, etc. And of course, to my great sponsor, c60evo.com/YAFTV. YAFTV for 10% discount is the code. So YAFTV, yeah. And I will plug more at the end of the channel, talk about it all. But I'm so glad to be back with you here on Wednesday. It is, of course, the 1 week anniversary of, I think at this point today, I'm at the purported assassination of Charlie Kirk. I'm kind of reaching this place with all the aggregation of the evidence and everything I'm taking in, that Charlie Kirk may have been, that the murder of Charlie Kirk could have been a staged event. And I'll be getting more into that, but that's kind of where I'm at this moment after massive amounts of grief, as we all have had, and massive amounts of just, heartedness and prayers and all of it. And has he joined the JFK Jr. Club? Where is Charlie Kirk, right? And there's so much of it that looks so bunk. All the reported evidence on Tyler Robinson is just so bogus and manufactured. And of course, the squib evidence, the everything about the outpouring of blood from his neck, the taking away of the cameras from behind the stage, the breakdown of the crime scene so rapidly, all of it very Crooks-like. We're waiting for the medical examiner's report. We have the rubber hands of Erica with him in the coffin, with the JD Vance escorting him from Utah to Phoenix. It's all very intense and strange, and it is confusing and difficult, especially if it is a faked assassination. Then it has, of course, being used for a purpose, and of course done for a purpose to, I guess, avoid the killing of Charlie Kirk by Mossad et al. For entertainment purposes only, and to kind of basically show them who's in charge, as Trump has also expressed fears for his life and what's gone down with his attempted assassinations through the same people, through the same EU cabals, and Trump is in England today, and we're going to jump into that very shortly, and talk about his presence there with King Charles and Queen Camilla, and of course Prince William, who Trump can't praise enough. I think he's just counting the days till William's in charge. Of course, Queen Elizabeth never gave power over to Charles while she was alive, knowing him to be the lowlife that he is, probably, but incapable of doing the job. And so it's very interesting. We're going to jump into that, and I'm going to put on the glasses, and we're going to go forward. So a couple of mentions here as we get started, as I like to do. We just had announced like a few minutes ago that ABC is immediately pulling the Jimmy Kimmel show. We know it was already going bye-bye. But Jimmy Kimmel has now been removed the show after his comments on the Charlie Kirk murder and the MAGA, blaming MAGA, all of this. So very interesting with that. It's also very interesting as Rupert Murdoch is at Windsor Castle with all the tech bros, the tech CEOs, with Trump and Rubio et al. 160 people in attendance at the Windsor Castle banquet tonight. And so it's, it's all very squirrely, but yeah, goodbye, Jimmy Kimmel. You suck, and good riddance. Okay, and so I wanted to mention a couple things here also. We have Pope Leo today in China, basically crushing two of the dioceses there that were faithful bishops, basically of the people, of the true Catholics of China. Huge, huge, just incredible ability for the Chinese to be Catholic in that country under the mass persecution that they're under, and the threats, organ harvesting being the threat if you end up in prison. And basically, we have Pope Leo now basically taking out two dioceses and installing two of the CCP appointed bishops. They have that 2.5 or $4.3 billion deal with the CCP, that with the Vatican, that they get to control their own bishops in China. And so now two of the most prominent and important dioceses in China have been closed, and they are being handed over to CCP bishops. So that's really dire and disgusting, especially after Saturday, where they had the Jubilee procession at the Vatican with Bishop Savino, basically with a huge um, uh, panoply of LGBTQ Catholics, okay, being honored in this procession. And so it's very interesting as we get Archbishop Vigano coming out with a statement today or yesterday, where he's calling for the release of Rainer Fulmick. Rainer Fulmick being, of course, the person who did so much as the lawyer. I don't know if he's a dual citizen of Germany and the United States, but he's a German who also practiced in the United States. But he was working with international courts, working on the COVID criminality, the mass worldwide genocide, and did so much in that. And he's in prison right now, and a lot of people don't know that. He's still awaiting a fair trial, being totally persecuted. And we have Archbishop Vigano again coming out and doing an incredible job calling out the globalist fascist regime, basically saying we need justice and the release of Rainer Fulmick, and calling on all Catholics to absolutely come in to speak out about this and to take action about this. He's calling for the arrest. This is Archbishop Vigano. He said who should be arrested are the globalists and the World Economic Forum leaders, et cetera. And he didn't say Larry Fink specifically, but he said Fauci, Bourla of Pfizer, Bill Gates, Ursula von der Leyen, all of these people, he said, for their globalist fascism, their intent to enslave humanity through this Agenda 2030 program, is specifically what he said. And I will link it below so you can check it out for yourself. So that's very, very important. And just, we pray. Very interesting. Before Charlie Kirk was murdered or disappeared, went JFK Jr. style, we had him saying that he was going to convert to Catholicism. And very interesting as a Mormon, that he would be doing that, and everything to do with Orem, where UVU is, and the connection with the CIA, their huge field office there, their huge recruiting on the campus, the Mormon assassin mercenaries. There's just so much connected in here to do with this. And of course, Charlie Kirk has this massive trove of like $500 million, in the TPUSA, just a giant machine, okay, to lead the youth in the nation. Now it's something up to like 52,000 requests of high schoolers across the nation for their high schools to become chapters for TPUSA, etc. All incredible stuff. And so, yeah, so we'll get more into that. But I wanted to mention this, and many of you have probably seen this video out of Wilmington, North Carolina, at the North Carolina College there on the campus, where they had this thing called Spirit Rock, and it had been transformed into a memorial for Charlie Kirk. Beautiful words on it, gorgeous, with the American flag on it, etc. And then you had some woman coming out and saying that she's a spiritual person and she believes in the golden rule. And literally, as people are standing around this memorial, she comes up with a bucket of light blue paint and just starts dumping it on it and then painting it over with her hands, just destroying the mural, destroying the tribute, the memorial. And nobody does anything. Nobody does anything. And talk about suicidal empathy. Okay, this is the situation. Like drones, these people just standing there saying you shouldn't do that, doing nothing. And if there's one little point we could take from the left, or what wasn't the left, it was, the labor movement back in the early 1900s, the hold the line situation, where if these people had just formed a circle around the huge boulder, and basically said, no, you're not going to destroy this memorial. Anything that happened after that would have become an incident, right? If she had attempted to throw paint over them or push through them in some way, that becomes a legal incident, and nobody did anything, and it was very disturbing to watch, right? And things are confusing times, and so I understand that people are feeling all over the place, but this was, I believe, one of these toxic empathy moments there in North Carolina, watching that happen. And so I'm going to move on from there, and I will be getting into the Windsor Castle visit today. President Trump will be going, of course, to the Chequers Manse tomorrow to meet with Keir Starmer early in the morning with his entourage of tech CEOs and Marco Rubio and the rest of them. And as I reported on Monday, there is a problem here of this huge mega deal, a technology and comms deal to do with the internet and cybersecurity. And there's a fight going on about, of course, the UK's push to try to control everything on the internet. And King Charles even spoke about it in his speech, that he helped create the internet with the United States, and that is true when it comes to Serco and it comes to their interconnections with In-Q-Tel and DARPA and all of it. And so it's all very interesting to see. And so we'll jump back into there in a moment, Windsor Castle State Dinner. But I did want to cover something here, and this has to do with health. And I know I jump around, but I think it all works out. But I really wanted to make sure that I covered this today because so many people are suffering from, whether it's the shed or the shots or the spray or whatever, from of course, circulatory issues, heart issues, cardiovascular stuff, and also the viral related ongoing long-term diseases of whether it's long COVID, as they call it, or chronic fatigue, or Lyme, or whatever biowarfare toxin in assault has happened to people. There's a great news here about something called lumbrokinase, and a lot of people have heard of nattokinase, and nattokinase usually is derived out of soy, and basically it helps to break up micro clotting and does really great work on just getting the crap from the bioweapon V out of the body. But lumbrokinase is 10 times more powerful than nattokinase, and this is literally, it's been studied over a decade, but of course crickets, we don't hear about it, but now it's coming out and it's getting to the public. This is a super enzyme, a plasminogen inhibitor. And what that means, okay, but just so you know, starting, it's derived from earthworms. Okay, so people should know this. This is coming out of a living creature, out of earthworms. They have something called, let's get here, what is it called? They have something called, eukaryotic proteins, okay, inside of them, in these earthworms. And they produce a fibrin-specific um, thrombolysis. Sorry. Okay, they produce a fibrin-specific thrombolysis, okay, action for clearing blood clots. Okay, so incredible. They have a super powerful protein within them that is massive in clearing blood clots when used as this lumbrokinase. And so let's talk about it here a little bit more. It deactivates recurring viral-related illnesses, as I just described, Epstein-Barr, chronic fatigue, myoencephalitis, Lyme disease, all of it, and has a huge effect in stopping microclotting, symptoms connected with myocarditis, pericarditis, and etc. In the meantime, if you're looking for lumbrokinase and you want to get nattokinase, which is the, I guess, less powerful version of this, but still very, very important when dealing with all the same issues I just talked about, nattokinase. I find the best one I know is Enzymatica. Enzymatica makes something called natto-K, a product called natto-K. But anyway, this lumbrokinase is also connected hugely with preventing post-stroke ischemic stroke that can happen after a stroke. Basically, it has huge neuroprotective activity and neural healing properties and inflammation in the brain, stopping this. Huge improvement in gene signaling after strokes, and all kinds of stuff, whether it's secondhand smoke recovery from carbon monoxide issues, all kinds of incredible stuff, anti-inflammatory out of lumbrokinase. The only product I know about this is out of Canada, RNA Biochemical Inc. And I'm not a giant, I don't know, a lot of Chinese studies to do with this product, Boluoki, but Greg Fredericks out of Nexus Magazine put this great article together about this to try to get the word out, and hopefully we're going to see a lot of products coming out with this lumbrokinase, and as I find out about it, I will let you know about it. I certainly want to get on it right away, especially after my tick massive bites that I got a couple months ago. Okay, and so I wanted to report on that. And then I also wanted to report this also is vital, as we're seeing so much going down with how to secure the elections and what's coming up. We're seeing Brad Raffensperger out of Georgia, who was the Secretary of State at the time of the 2020 elections, with everything election fraud, everything election steal. He was in charge of the elections, now running for governor. Well, in Hawaii, we have the 2024 elections declared unverifiable, the ones that happened last fall, by what is called the PIG, the Permitted Interaction Group, officially recognized by the Hawaiian State Elections Commission, who are now also saying we don't have the budget to be able to audit, what happened in 2024. Conveniently, with that super evil governor, who, of course, working directly with Newsom after the destruction of Lahaina and then the destruction of the Palisades, how to bring in the Agenda 2030, everything using the same contracted companies for the clearing, millions and millions of dollars, all of it, and the same issuing of we're going to rebuild this with low-income housing and do all of this Agenda 2030 stuff. Well, Hawaii, what they found, the Permitted Interaction Group, they found that the electronic records cannot be verified anywhere across Hawaii's 2024 elections due to withheld ballot images, reconciliation logs, all withheld. All they were presented were summaries. There was no actual evidence of the elections, and the chain of custody is broken across the state. No verifiable chain of custody of the ballots. Hawaii County had 19,000 plus more ballots than envelopes that came in. Kauai County had altered their records massively, and they also added 3,000 post office USPS ballots after the election, with no signatures to get in their candidates, and Maui and Honolulu presented 0 verifiable records. So I'm linking that below. Just another reminder, okay, that we have 2026 massive, huge elections as all this redistricting is going on, and we're fighting here the fight. To be understanding that we're still fighting the machines and we're fighting the commissions, the election commissions. If there's one role you could take on, would be to get on your electoral board, on your electoral commission in your state, and of course to sign up as a committee member, committee man in your state to do with the choosing of the candidates, all of it. Get involved. Precinctstrategy.com, right? Haven't said that in a while, but it's so important. Okay, it's so important. Okay, and so I think I'm going to move into. I also want to talk about. I think I want to talk about Three-Eye Atlas a little bit in this video, and that huge plasmic body that has been determined that it's not a comet, that is moving rapidly through our solar system right now and meant to come closest to the Earth, I believe, on October 29th. And it can't be explained by any other data, any other science they have for other bodies moving through our solar system. And so I want to talk about that. I'll get to it in a moment. Talking about a video from Stephen Burns, a geoastrophysicist, and what he has to say about it. But I think I'll go here to the Windsor visit here. And of course, there's all this discussion. Well, Trump and Melania, again, second state visit, unprecedented. Trump said during the dinner that he hopes it never happens again, that he's the only president to be invited twice for a royal visit. And basically, we have the situation of neither of them bowing or curtsying to Charles or Camilla. And of course, the same thing happened in the last visit. And you read various reports on this, and they say, well, you know, there is no real protocol that you have to bow or curtsy. And of course, why would an American president ever bow or curtsy to the country that we had to fight to gain our freedom from and have been captured by ever since and continuously still doing it? And of course, I will get to the situation of the telecoms thing as well. But one thing is interesting here, and of course, there's been these rumors on the internet, and I can't find any seriously verifiable evidence of this, but there are some things that point very strongly towards this situation of Melania being somehow related to the Romanovs and related specifically to Anastasia Romanov, supposedly the only daughter who escaped the executions after the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia, and that she is somehow an heir, therefore, to the Romanov legacy and the royalty of Russia. And so one issue comes up here, whereas who doesn't bow and curtsy to each other are royals. Okay, the royalty does not bow or curtsy to each other in these state visits, or if they do it mutually. Okay, and so it's interesting to see this. It's it's especially interesting because the uh, uh, Saxburg Gothas or whatever are basically imposters to the crown of the UK, and this whole long history of that, and of course this Romania situation and King Charles being the multi-generational spawn of Vlad Dracul out of Transylvania in Romania and all of it. And it's so interesting to think about this. You know, again, I don't have the evidence here. And if you do have it, please put it below. I've watched multiple videos, but there's nothing, justifying this. But there is the situation of, for one thing, in chess, right? And then we're all about the 5e chess or whatever. A queen can block the king, right? That is an interesting thing to think about. However, We do know that Putin, when Trump met with him in August at the summit in Alaska, that he did present Melania with this emerald, a diamond surrounded emerald ring that is said to be from a tiara that was owned by Alexandra Romanov and was worn by her, and was that the jewels from that were part of them was constructed into a ring. And there's this whole story about that the Rothschilds had organized the stealing of the royal jewels, the crown jewels of the Romanovs, that there had been all of that going on, and that somehow they ended up in the English royalty in the UK, and all of this. And somehow what we have here is Putin presenting Melania with this ring, okay? This emerald ring representing the royalty of the Romanovs. And so that is all very interesting, regardless of what it has to do with. It's interesting, right? The Novs, or um, uh, let's see here, the Novs, her actual parents, of course, yeah, they were Victor and Amalia Novs, and her mom passed, we know, last year in January, only at the age of 78. And this is Melania's mom. They were from Savnica, Slovenia. And it's gorgeous, beautiful place, only 5,000 people. It's about an hour away from the capital. And this is from the former Yugoslavia. Okay, all of this to do with the Bolshevik Revolution. And if you can kind of see the bigger picture here, on one side of this world war that is going on, we have the Bolshevik related families, the Trotskyites, the World Economic Forum people, the crowd that has to do with the Zionist, pro-Zionist group, and then we have this other group that is basically representing the counter-revolutionaries to do with Russia before the takeover of the communist New World Order global government, and the all of the populist movement that has come out of this as a counter-revolutionary movement to the New World Order, to the globalist tyranny, to the transhumanism, to the stealing of our property, our minds, our everything, our institutions, our history. And so it is an interesting take and interesting to think about, right? Because we have this, the slaying of the Romanovs and the end of Russia. And then, of course, it coming back. Reagan, hugely responsible in this, and then it being captured by the George H.W. Bush crowd of the rape of Russia and the going in, forming of the oligarchs. And then you get Putin coming to power and basically coming back to the reinstatement of Russia as a Orthodox Christian country, as a global force that won't be bought and sold. And it's squirrely in there. There's a lot of disgusting stuff. But it is interesting to understand maybe the largesse and the stakes involved here of who's fighting who, okay, and what this World War III situation is all about. And those who are Christian committed, and those who are basically dealing with the cartel Babylon and the economy of sin. And so it is, nothing is, nothing is, there's no clear lines, okay, drawn when it comes to the sinful activity of all of the elite power structures. But we had tonight with Rupert Murdoch and Trump and Melania, but Trump looking really grim at this Windsor banquet. Okay, very interesting. They entered into the banquet with them playing, um, what were they playing? They were playing America the Beautiful. And very interestingly, they also then played, and I believe this is the first time this has ever happened in St. George's Hall at Windsor Castle, playing the national anthem. This is all by orchestra. So playing the American National Anthem. And this is all before tomorrow, where Trump goes to Chequers and Starmer and whoever else with this huge tech situation. And we know this has so much to do with Serco, Pilgrim Society, Lockheed Martin. And Lockheed Martin, massively owned and controlled by the UK. And Trump has been trying to encroach upon it and drag it into the USA and control Lockheed Martin, partially nationalize it. So it's all very interesting because they are very much at the baseline when it comes to DARPA and all of the InQtel funding and everything to do with, the surveillance space fence technology, the Golden Dome, the secret space breakaway civilization. They're like 0.0 there with this, and so it's going to be very interesting to see what comes out of this tomorrow. Especially after the massive marches of the British people against the invasion of the Muslim migrants and the censorship and the lockdown on free speech and all the arrests, everything. And will this be a potential really great thing for the UK? Will there be a Nigel Farage coming in, or will it be Sadiq Khan? I believe all this will be discussed. Keir Starmer is polling at 11%. They have something like 4% inflation. The joblessness is huge, and of course, again, the Muslims, by and large, don't work and take all of everything off the dole, stealing more and more money from the people of Britain. And so let's pray that this has a great effect across the pond there to Ireland as well. But we need to see, and I won't know until it comes out of what comes out of this technology deal that is going to be happening tomorrow. And, prayers that Trump presents them with some very strong terms. And of course, I hadn't seen Besant there. I don't know if he is there. I know Rubio's there, but yeah. And of course, we get Mirren put in as the new Federal Reserve member of the Board of Governors, and Powell reduced our interest rates at the Fed by 1/4 of a point today. So yeah, all right, there's that. And so we're going to keep watching it. We're going to keep looking at all the signs and what's going on. It was very interesting. Both Melania and Trump very grim at the banquet, very grim, and King Charles had to say, "What would our forebears of 1776 have thought of our visit today?" He made a point of saying that George Washington had said that he would never, walk on the soil of Great Britain, and made a point of saying that he is the 5 times great grandchild, okay, of King George III. So, and he also made a point of saying that we're having new partnerships on these agreements on technology. And so, yeah, we're going to get into it, and I'll cover it as it comes around. Okay. And so moving on from there, I wanted to, I think I might jump into the situation where we have with the 3-eye atlas. And people have been talking about it for a long time now, but I think it's pertinent considering everything going on. We have yet another eclipse coming up on the 21st or the 22nd. I think it's 21st. A solar eclipse this time instead of a lunar eclipse. And all these things, all of these eclipses, the lunar eclipse and what could be going on with the solar eclipse, seem to keep magnifying this body called 3-eye atlas. And 3-eye atlas is just the name that scientifically, where they observed it, what it is, etc. But they can't qualify it as a comet. And it is this massive body hurtling through our solar system at 60 kilometers per second. and it's going to escalate to 68 kilometers per second as it gets nearer to its what is called its perihelion, or the closest to the Earth and then the closest to the Sun. And I believe it's closest to the Sun on October 29th. There's also this date of December 19th. And so we're basically looking at this body that is rushing through our solar system that they cannot classify as a comet. It is now only as it's getting ready to, I believe in a couple of weeks, it will pass by Mars. They'll be able to get some photos by their whatever, their cameras out, hanging out at Mars. But basically, it is growing and growing in its plasma, and they can't qualify it as a comet because it doesn't have any of the distinctions of a comet, and that it's basically filled with plasma, and they have to call it an interstellar object, and it's creating all of these structures within it as it grows. And is this the situation of stage Charlie Kirk's murder, have there be, massive crackdowns and, police in the streets, trying to control mayhem as there is some major danger coming to the planet Earth? Or is this a benevolent influence on the Earth? Because, of course, God, in his benevolence, and how energies and plasma is an alive consciousness. Plasma tends to have intelligence. And so what we're hearing, what Stephen Burns had to say, and I will link his video below, is that this interstellar object that can't be called a comet, it has this thing, what they call, that surrounds this field, is called a coma, which is interesting. But basically it's the dust and gas and also the plasma. And he said it's been glowing green very vibrantly since the eclipse on the 12th of September, the 7th of September. And they were able to capture this in the Kalahari Desert in Namibia with their, mega photography out of there in the absolute dark. And basically, he said it appears more like a class of previously understood small dwarf planetary bodies. It can't yet be defined, but it's similar to like Cygna and these other dwarf planets than it is to a comet, and that its unique plasma structure, keeps collecting what is light photons and just expanding and creating these structures, these complex structures within it. And it's interesting, with secret space technology, and they always talk about plasmoid craft and how they are self sort of forming and shape shifting, and that this is a whole other class of secret space technology or off-planet technology that has been witnessed and understood, where it changes shape and can basically shapeshift, I guess is what I'm saying. But what is so interesting with this is that it is not only traveling at 60 kilometers per second, but it is 50 kilometers in diameter. So it's massive, it's a huge, and it is hurtling through our solar system, coming very close to Earth at the end of October, and then also having just more and more influence to do with the Earth. He's saying there'll be huge solar storms. We're looking at major X flares, solar flares coming during this time, and that they're continually trying to figure out what's going on with it, but it's not behaving like a comet, and it is organizing itself in a very different way than anything they've ever looked at before. So this is very interesting. I think we'll find out more after October 3rd when it's passing by Mars, and get some more clear photos of it. But this body that is rapidly approaching Earth should concern us all, I would say. I think it's very interesting, and we'll continue to look into it as things go forward. Okay. And so, what else is going on? All these interesting situations keep going on with the people like Josh Hawley, who AIPAC has of course hugely targeted to try to take him off the political stage because he refuses to be captured by them. But he has come out and said, well, Kirk being murdered must be what Charlie meant when he told me TPUSA was being specifically targeted. And of course, we've been hearing everything, whether it is the Iranian young woman who's running this armed queers Salt Lake City with the rifle club and all of it, training trips to Cuba, this kind of thing, all coming out of the CIA captured city of Orem, and Urmia Fanayan, okay, being an Iranian, okay, just happens to be an Iranian, and the Utah Global Diplomacy NGO, Utah Global Diplomacy, is funding this whole situation, and of course we're hearing J.D. Vance and we're hearing Stephen Miller coming out and saying they are going full bore against the NGOs. And all of this would be worth it if it meant that they could defund Alexander Soros and Huma Abedin and the structure of all of these. If they could seize the money and end them, that would be fantastic, and I would be 100% for it. And yet, I don't like being lied to. I don't like an entire international scheme being how we move forward. Although I understand it, I don't. I don't like it. And so we'll continue to, follow the evidence, follow what's coming up. We know that Charlie Kirk did openly, very much, come out against Governor Cox in April of 2024, basically saying Utah deserves a much better governor, that he is captured, that he is part of the establishment that is harming Utahns, and so yeah, it's all a big giant hole of disturbing information. And then the whole thing about George Zinn, who ends up having a semi heart attack. George Zinn being the first guy who was claiming that he was a shooter and arrested and shoot me and all the stuff, having been a false flag person who was part of 9/11 false flags. Um, all of this crazy stuff with George Zinn, the first guy to divert the situation there in Utah, and then he has some kind of heart attack, and they get his phone, and now they are charging him with child porn found on his phone. And so George Zinn, is he a member of Chabad Lubavitch? We have to look into it. What's on Fox News the night of the Charlie Kirk assassination, they had on the Late Show, I don't know who that, Trace somebody, um, they had this situation of a Chabad Lubavitch rabbi up there just saying full bore, we are TNUSA, we are going to carry forward TNUSA, we are going to do it, we're going to do it. And then this crazy guy next to him who was like ex-military or something, who was just saying, we just have to kill this guy, we have to kill the assassin, we have to kill him, kill him, kill him. And then afterwards, we'll put it all together, what happened. Okay, it was just so nuts. It was so crazy to watch. I was like, is this really what they're putting on? I mean, it's Fox News, so, it's not surprising, but it was so amazing that it was just so out in the open with the Chabad Lubavitch rabbis and the let's just kill the assassin and figure it out later, um, and so yeah, and so we go on from there. So we'll keep looking into it. There's been so much interesting, compelling evidence about all of it, and right now I'm, as I said, in that boat where I think we're looking at the JFK Junior Club, because I cannot see any of it being real. Anything that I've seen, whether it's the squib throat thing or the guy with the arm, with the cell phone detonation, or the camera removed from the crime scene, everything removed from the crime scene. Same exact Butler play. I mean, they could have, changed it up a little, but same thing with Crook's body disappearing in Butler, all of it, the wiping of the crime scene. So we'll get back to it. It's a roller coaster of emotions and grief and prayers, and ongoing prayers, of course, for the larger mission. But it's like I uh, always, prefer Apollo over Dionysus. I'd always prefer being punched in the face and stabbed in the back. All of the subterfuge and all of the massive million D chess, uh, you know, people do deserve an open fight at some point. And yes, it's so deeply intricate. There's so many trillions of dollars involved, and the people with the trillions of dollars trying to annihilate us. And so very deep machinations have to go on how to defeat that. And yet we're all left with this feeling of being duped, but also, somehow supposed to trust the plan, right? And so we'll continue to look at how, keep doing it, and just keep pulling up, bootstrapping, and continue on from there. The weird thing about Bill Ackman, the whole situation of them meeting in the Hamptons and grilling Jolly Kirk, and supposedly offering the father of Tyler Robinson $1.2 million for the turning in of his son. That all looks like a giant, especially if we have with George Webb saying that Mike Robinson, the uncle, involved in this Ukraine situation, mercenaries, Mormon mercenaries, that there is some kind of intelligence family at play here, and their intent to use this as a mass cracking down on the NGOs, yes, 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 and then cracking down on these disgusting online groups like 764, and all of this to do with child predation and just disgusting mind control, MK Ultra stuff that is it's all intelligence related. So I don't know the full rabbit hole of it, but if they are getting behind and being able to take down all these things one by one or simultaneously, that would be fantastic. That would be fantastic. And so we have the TikTok deal being pushed out till December 16th or something now. Trump, we know that Xi has the golden share owning of TikTok, the golden share. And so it can't be sold without his coming to the table. And Trump is going to be speaking with Xi on Friday. And so this is very important, what will happen with TikTok and its massive, influence on children and the world. There's 172 million users in America of TikTok. That's insane. And that these are on Oracle servers. Okay, so good old Oracle, right? And the richest man in the world, right? That these servers in Texas and Eastern Virginia housing the TikTok servers, that this will be they'd have to rewrite all the code. Could take about 18 months to rewrite all the TikTok code, and of course get all the Chinese spyware removed. So we will see what happens there. We will see. And we also saw Grassley come out and basically say that 100% they're going after what happened with the FBI targeting the GOP players, the parents, to do with the town councils, and everything to do with the parents going up against the school councils. All of this coming out away as well, and we have James Comer coming out, and that the CEOs of Discord, Twitch, Reddit, and Steam are all being called to testify before Congress, the House Oversight Committee, to basically come forward and talk about what's going on with the radicalization of people on those platforms. And yeah, I think I'm going to leave it there for tonight. And I have, I will be back, if not tomorrow, definitely Friday, and we'll break down whatever has gone on with this technology agreement between the United States and the UK. And we pray that it is a strong arming of the United States finally getting to a place of power over the King's Privy Council, the Pilgrim Society, but that is a long, long shot. And so something's going on deeper here, and hopefully I'll be able to dig into that and give you more information on Friday. And so I'm going to leave it there. If you found something interesting or uplifting or informative and want to support the channel, there's ways to do so below, and I so appreciate it. And I will also, of course, mention my great sponsor, c60evo.com/YAFTV. Use the code YAFTV for 10% off, YAFTV. And that's the miracle molecule. I've had people getting back to me since the fundraiser, just saying they're so pleased with the results of what they're seeing from taking the Evo, and that it gets into your mitochondria, right? If you think of the Lumbrokinase that I was talking about, this is, doesn't do the same thing as that, but it gets into your mitochondria. It also crosses the blood-brain barrier, gets into your neurons, cleans out the garbage with your glutathione and your melatonin, and it captures it and takes it out of the body. Okay, so it's an incredible cleaning mechanism for your cells, and people experience great energy during the day and then sleeping better at night when they take it in the morning. And these are the capsules, which I love, because you can put them in your pocket and take it anywhere for a burst of energy. Anybody who supports the channel automatically gets 15% off with a different code and a different link sent to you. And of course, I love the MCT oil as well. This is the olive oil capsules, the most potent of what, or the liquid of the olive oil holds the most C60 Evo in it, the ESS60 molecule, super ultra pure carbon 60. And the MCT oil is great for workouts, of course, with that refined coconut oil that is just so amazing for inflammation, etc. And also I'm doing a fundraiser for the channel, which you can check out below, where I was gifted many bottles of what had just expired of C60 Evo, and we're basically just taking donations. I listed all below about donations that you make, how you make them, in the description below. Basically $50 donation plus $10 shipping, and we send you a bottle, and it goes down from there. And you can stock up if you want, or try it out if you've been kind of impeded by the price point of it. It is an incredible product, very expensive to make. And so it's just a blessing that I get to do this fundraiser for people to try it out who might have been on the fence. So check it out below. And I guess we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for watching. You are free. And I will see you maybe tomorrow, but definitely Friday. You are free.